Full course yellow is deployed. Full course yellow is deployed.
Yes, and hello everybody. Welcome to another edition of Full Course Yellow, our weekly get-together, where we talk about all things motorsport, local, national, international, and we start off the program by passing on our thoughts and prayers with everybody at Sky F1 for they were terribly depressed after the Dutch Grand Prix, after the unfortunate incident that robbed Lando Norris of his inevitable victory over Oscar Piastri, and also, I mean, it was a bad weekend for Sky Formula One. Let's face it, because apparently, like a gust of wind on the Saturday, a gust of wind robbed him once again of the inevitability of a pole position.
Where's the violin?
It's most unfortunate. But anyway, we'll talk about that in just a moment. Joining us to talk about it, we've got our floor manager from In-Pit Lane and resident Formula One tragic, Mr. Peter Johnson. Alongside him, we have Craig Doc Lanigo, all the way from Queensland, Mark Jones and Richard Outram in the corner. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
Outdoor engines.
Can I smell smoke in my cockpit?
Yeah. Don't even joke about it, Richard. It's too soon. Too soon.
Your sense of humour is just absolutely
Poorly, yes, I know.
That's all right. It wouldn't even survive on the bloody damn well Monty Python show.
We'll get you a job at the Batuta Advocate.
Yes, that's what we need. Well, let's look back at the weekend. Also coming up, we do have some supercar news. Toyota has unveiled the Toyota Supra. We've got some footage of that.
Crompo's unveiled in Supra.
Yes, Crompton behind. We've got footage
Crompo's
of
unveiled
behind the wheel.
Yeah.
So we'll show you that a little bit later and hear from that coming up in the program. But as we said, right now let's start off with the Dutch Grand Prix. A dominant performance by Oscar Piastri, despite the apparent inevitability of Lando taking there, because that was the problem. If you listen to the Sky F1 commentary, it was like, it was just a matter of time until Lando closed the gap and got into the DRS zone, and from then on, I mean, it was only a matter of time before he just surged past and raced to a well-deserved victory and kept up his absolutely impeccable weekend, which was once again only just cruelly destroyed by that gust of wind which robbed him from the pole position, and a bit of a problem at the start when some hoodlum called Verstappen went round decided to play sprint car around the outside.
Well,
with him.
I'm glad you brought it up, Brett, because I didn't even know you were going to talk about this. I've got the old In-Pit Lane shirt out tonight. There you go for everyone watching. So it feels like we're at the desk for a second, because I'm going to interrupt you and say it wasn't Oscar Piastri's win. The moment I thought of the whole Grand Prix, how about Max's snap? How did he keep that thing together?
Yes. Oh, what a...
Did you see
It was a great save. It was a great save.
On the lock stops.
The overhead shot was incredible.
He was quite proud of that. He pointed it out to Oscar and Hadjar in the post in the briefing room after the event.
He was in a delightful mood. I mean, did you see that in the press conference later? Max, it's the first time I've seen sort of Max really show out any sort of sense of humour, because he was sitting there in the it was a very dry sense of humour, because someone congratulated Isack Hadjar for his fabulous third place, and
really, did he get third?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh well, geez, I was watching the highlights package. I was talking to you guys. And I remember watching qualifying, and the whole qualifying, I think they barely mentioned him. He popped up there, and I said to you guys, and this is the criticism they deserve for obviously the Oscar Piastri scenario that we deal with it from time to time, is Hadjar absolutely slaughtered and did so well in qualifying, and the Fox got more footage on the screen in the highlights package and got more mentions from the commentary team. No kidding.
Yes. On the Fox on the run.
Yeah, the one Leclerc saw from a distance, but how does the Fox get more footage and commentary than what Hadjar's efforts did.
Well, mind you, it was a remote control.
Pete, what you were saying?
But live, during the qualifying live, Hadjar did get quite a mention. He might not have got a lot of footage, but he did get quite a mention for coming fourth.
Yeah, I think he's done well, but I just liked it at the press conference at the end of the day when they said, well, like obviously, like a fabulous result for Isack today, Max. I mean, this has obviously been a big tick in the box to being your possibly being your teammate for next year. Are you looking forward to that? And Max says, no, I don't like the guy.
Oh,
and then
what an endorsement.
Yeah, and then Isack said, well, that doesn't really matter since I've got no time for you either. And then Oscar is busy. Then they all both, and the journalists were just totally, and they were just, Oscar was pissing himself trying to sort of there, and then eventually they all broke. And
well, I was watching.
Gag, so,
they did ask. I was watching the drivers' press conference after. I think it was P3. It wasn't even qualifying yet, and they were chatting to Oscar. Actually, it might have been after qualifying. Oscar, Lando, and Max, and Tom Clarkson was having a chat to him. Did the usual, same old, boring presser questions. 1, 2, 3, blah blah blah. Open it up to the gallery. I think about the fourth or the fifth question, and a guy tried to make a bit of fun of it and said, "Oh, so 20-something years ago, back in 19 such and such, is when the Grand Prix was here, and now no cheating, no googling, no getting phones out, everyone. Please tell me who won, who got second, and who got pole, and blah blah blah." So Oscar went, "Was it Nicky Lauda?" And he goes, "Yep, good answer, got one right. What about you, Lando?" Lando's going, "Oh, is it this or is it that?" And I like that. "What about you, Max?" Max just says, "I don't care. Not my problem." He's just said that. He wouldn't even gave him nothing. He goes, "I don't care. No, not my problem." Wouldn't even play the game.
Yeah.
Not interested.
He's not interested. He's not. He doesn't. He doesn't give good guests. But I was really impressed with, like he said, as I said, you don't hear much of his sense of humour. And I've heard from people who know him. And I know one person in particular who knows him quite well. And he says, look, he said, the Max you see, at a Grand Prix weekend and on the media and all the rest of it is not the Max that we know. Max is actually very funny and very relaxed and very nice. But once he gets to work, there's no, he is absolute. And that's what I like about Oscar as well. I think Oscar is very much cut from the same cloth in that, I have a job to do. And that's what I'm here to do, and my job is here to win.
Well, he's got more wins than Daniel now. He's got equal wins as his manager's got, and he's only a couple off Sir Jack. So
that's amazing, isn't it?
My namesake as well. Yeah, there's just behind. Yeah, the other Alan Jones.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's right. Yeah, we sort of keep forgetting about AJ. He was a world champion. I mean, that's that's right. Yeah.
As they say, no matter where you are, when you walk into the room, you're a world champion.
So sorry, Oscar, but as far as I'm concerned, driver of the weekend was either Max or Isack. One of those.
Yeah, Isack was very, very good, and it's looking increasingly likely like he will be the person. Helmut Marko has now come out and said he was very, very impressed.
You don't want that promotion
with Hadjar. Pete.
I wonder if that'll be a knee-jerk reaction though, because Max is obviously better than Yuki, and the car is not what it was. And so I wonder if Isack is going to end up in the same position that Yuki is.
Yeah, well, yep. Because they're building around Max. I was looking at some of the data and some of the analysis by one of the strategists that has worked with Red Bull, and they're doing did a podcast over the last week or two, and they say the car is absolutely specifically built around Max at the moment, no matter what. So too bad if you can't adapt to his style, because they're running a slightly higher bloody ride height than what the McLarens are. They're running less downforce. They're changing all the suspensions. They're doing all the stuff that Max can throw a car down the road with and control that other drivers can't. And well, maybe there are a couple others, but that's what they're doing. And so if you're in the second driver's seat, it's too bad, so sad. That's what you're dealing with.
But
as I said before, go on. Sorry, mate.
Max isn't doing it as well as he has done, and there's been other second drivers in the Red Bull team that have been closer to him than the last few. And I just wonder if Isack will be in the same position as those recent others.
Pete, as I said some time ago, hey, little boy, do you want to eat the poison apple or get the second seat in the Red Bull? I'll take the poison apple, thanks.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting.
I might live from that.
I think Liam was sort of saying that, like they'll say, well, there's a chance you might end up back there, and he was saying, at the moment, unless there's a major change in the car, I'm not really sure that, that's because, as you're saying, I'm having much better results, obviously now in the Red Bull, in the Raging Bull, the second team than I have been that I did in the first. So
makes it sound like an American restaurant.
It does, yeah.
And as Karen Chandok said at one stage during the weekend, he would love to see Max in the RB to see what he can do with it.
Oh, that'd be... Yeah,
you might find it feels like...
Well, he's probably going to get in and say, I want to change this, and this in it before he drives it, so it suits him better.
But you never know, it might turn out to be actually faster than the McLarens in it and go, hell, but actually, hey, Yuki, Liam, you were right. That is a piece of shit.
Yeah, I might find that it feels like he's driving a pillow.
Well, they've all got a clean slate next year, and they're all going to be dealing with the cars that have been thrown in from the bloody from their factories. So, with the new cars that are going to be significantly different to the ones that they're driving now, let's going to see who's ahead in the engineers game back at the office, and let's see how well developed they are, and see how well they can adapt to the new ones.
The interesting thing for next year is that. It looks like they're going to have sort of even less downforce, and they're going to be blindingly quick in a straight line if all of the simulator say that. But all the driving they've done on the simulators with the new rules and with all of the information they've got, pretty much every driver who has come out is going to say this is going to be really bad racing because there's not a hope in hell you're going to pass with these things.
And we don't need them to be faster than they are now. That's like straight line speed is
12 months to 2 years before they become faster than the ones they've got now. They will definitely have a look at Sam Collins' stuff on YouTube, and if anyone knows his gear as far as analysing every different factory and every different car, he knows it better than most. Or he's up there in the top 10 of how to analyse them, and he just eats it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So he thinks they'll take it minimum at least 12 months to get anywhere near the same pace as they've got now.
But they said that about this generation of cars as well. They said they won't be anywhere near as quick as the cars they're replacing. And basically at the first round they were on the pace, and by the end of the year they were significantly faster. So
that's what I said, about 12 months.
Formula
One that year.
Yeah.
In Melbourne that year, they were visibly in Melbourne that year. They were visibly faster.
Yeah.
You remember when the V8s? Oh, sorry, Peter.
Sorry, you could barely make them out as they were going, because I was on a straighter bit of track than what I usually was, and you could barely make the drivers out as they were going past.
That's probably because of the halo.
Yeah, well, that's it.
No, we had the halo. We had the halo in 2019, so.
I think it's just.
No, I'm just kidding, Pete.
It's just a joke.
But anyway, that's the interesting thing. You mentioned like the straight line speed and the low downforce of the Red Bull. We're of course coming up to Monza this weekend, and we know that like Max was very competitive at Silverstone, and I would be expecting him to be a lot more competitive at Monza. And you'd have to suspect that even and they're starting behind the 8 ball. In both cases, I mean, Lewis has got a 5-car penalty already for his indiscretions under the yellow flag on Saturday.
Did the Ferraris in the
Oh,
were they
yeah.
in the last race? I don't think they entered, did they?
Yeah, well, they were.
Oh no, they were there. They
Oh.
spectacularly disassembled their cars across the circuit.
Oh, one had help, but I don't think they even started the race, did they? But anyway,
You were looking too far forward.
Channeling Chloe
I must
Chambers
say
from the Academy race there a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't see the. I saw the
She
video,
didn't.
but never caught up with it.
One of the top 3 races, unfortunately, didn't start was unable to start the main race.
I must say, we talked about Max's save, but a couple of times during practice, I think both practice 2 and 3, Lewis Hamilton did a full 360 and saved.
He did
saved
twice.
that.
Did exactly the same thing in the same spot. I saw that.
Yeah, he's obviously not happy with the handling of that car, but you know that when they go to Monza, they will move heaven and earth to have a car that is basically set up, because that's the thing. It's like at some stage they basically say, okay, we can't win either championship now. Okay, what do we do? We start preparing next year, but for now our focus is we must win at Monza. And they'll turn up with a car that I will imagine will be very fast in a straight line, as well as the Red Bulls.
Well, then,
the regulations do give them a 50 horsepower bonus for the Italian Grand Prix just because.
They might actually go against Ferrari policy and say to the drivers, "What sort of car do you want this round?" and put it around them and actually make it competitive. And what do you want to hear over the radio? We'll tell you what you want to hear, not what you don't.
Yeah, so it should be another good race coming up. The good thing about Monza, of course, is because you've got the long straights and the relatively low downforce, you've got some slipstreaming possibilities, and with just like normally you have slipstreaming possibilities, but with the DRS you've got extra ones. So there hopefully will be some more chance of some passing. But it'll be interesting to see how Lando sort of pops back. I mean, he's certainly talking up the fact that now that he's so far behind, he's almost saying that a bit of a weight's been lifted off his shoulder now. He's basically admitted that the pressure has really been weighing on him, whereas Oscar is just pressure. What pressure? I mean, this is what I'm racing cars, and I'm racing to win, and I don't really care whatever happens in the background. I don't really care. I'm just doing my job, and as he said, I was in control. I mean, Lando got to win DRS on one. They said, well, once he gets into DRS, well, he did for I think one lap. And then Oscar just went, oh, he's within a second of me. I better
put the
I'll just put in another couple of quick sections, and the next thing is, he's a second and a half, and from then on it was like, someone said, if it had caught up, and he went, well, I still had stuff. I was driving as fast as I had to. He said, I wanted just keep the gap.
Okay.
And
they had 2 safety cars in late in the race, and I suppose 3 if you include the one that Lando caused himself, and he couldn't do anything about it. I suppose the second last safety car, his car might have already been starting to be wounded by then. But
Lando's only got one more goal for the rest of the year. If he can't win the Drivers' Championship, and the McLaren's already got the Constructors' Championship completely sewn up, his only goal will be to beat Max for the rest of the year, his mate. And that's all he's got really to make sure he stays above him. That's all he's really going to go for.
Well, as they were saying, though, I mean, it's we saw with obviously like Lando's had some issues, but over the year, but it really is like one DNF. I mean, if it's Oscar this weekend who has the engine problems or something else, and then
close again.
Yeah, I mean he's back in the he's well and truly
Actually,
back
better
in
look.
the.
Who's got? I'll have a quick look. Who's got power plant banks? How many's left of what? I'll have a quick look.
Well,
Well, I know. I
they
think
do.
Red Bull have got a new one, a new engine. I think that's what Max said in the. I think he said something about got a new power plant for next week. So
I think, barring mechanical failures, I think what's going to unstick them is, I noticed this particularly in practice 3, it appears that one would do a fast lap, and then the other one would come out and try and do a fast lap, and I reckon that's potentially going to unstick them, because they'll keep going, and then they'll end up crashing. I reckon that's.
well, that's the one thing they're going to have to worry about because basically once they've got that's what a couple of people have raised. They said that basically once they wrap up the manufacturers' championship, do they need to say, okay, guys, don't take each other in? Because it's basically like, okay, we're not racing Red Bull anymore. It's now purely a fight between you two guys, and we're hands off. So
I don't
Well,
think
they're
they'll
going
crash
to
into each other. I don't think they'll crash into each other. I think one of them will end up crashing if they keep doing that, where one goes out and does a fast lap. In the practice sessions, maybe they have to do it in qualifying, but in the practice sessions, if they're doing it unnecessarily, one of them will end up crashing into a wall or something and come unstuck. I think that's how they'll come unstuck.
hey, listen, well, before we go much further, let's say hello. Let's have the roll call and say hello to everybody. I've popped up something from Phil before, saying hello as well. Box joining us once again. G'day, Box. Paul Vandenacker is with us once again. He was saying that Max's move was more arse than class, but I'll take luck over skill every time.
There was a lot of skill involved in that one.
There was some skill in it, but yeah, I mean, there's always a touch of class. Jared saying Honda might be a customer team after split with Red Bull. Well, they are going to be with Aston Martin
Yeah.
next year, so
And
so they are.
And the word is still that Honda has said we want to take Yuki when we go to Aston Martin.
Yeah, I mean Yuki. I don't think there's any way that Yuki is staying at Red Bull. Basically, I mean, he was part of the Honda deal. It's like Honda have always said that if they're going to have their engines, they need to have a Japanese driver in there.
Oh, yeah.
And so Yuki.
Sure, Nakajima has an entire F1 career based on that.
Yeah, and then you had the situation in Japan as well with in IndyCar racing as well. That for years you had what's his name Takuma Sato was basically when Honda joined. It was like well, as long as we've got a Japanese driver there, we can hang our hat on.
He's won the Indy 500 3 times.
Yeah, well, he turned into an absolute. It's freaky, but he turned into an absolute oval track specialist, particularly at Indianapolis. He's still very competitive there. Kane Pollard also saying, Kane saying, we sort of covered it last. The price spike for 26. We knew it was coming.
There's been no bids on my body parts.
Oh, okay. Never mind, Pete. I mean, don't take it personally. I mean, that's the main thing. Yeah, we were talking about Pete selling some body parts to pay for his ticket for next year. But I mean, it's just going up everywhere. Like I got the information for the next year's Bathurst 12-hour. They've put up the camping that's available. The first year I went there, the camping was $90 for 4 days. Now it's about double that, I think. And once again, though, it's pretty much they've got the pre-sale on. I think tomorrow or Thursday the camping goes on sale to the general public. If you're interested in going, I would get in the moment that they open up, because that will sell out really quickly. I believe that they offered the tickets to people who camped last year. and I believe the take up was well over 95%. So most of the people who went there last year, which was a big crowd, have already put up their hand and said they're coming back for next year. And so there's going to be very, very limited space available, I would think, for camping, particularly down in the paddock. If you want to stay down in the paddock, you're going to be up there. Although I would even though I haven't camped up the top of I would certainly recommend camping up the top of the mountain.
As you know, I have a bunch of friends in various groups up there, probably 3 or 4, and it is very highly regarded, and it's not party zone stupid, it's not booze central, or it's not crazy music.
Well, that's me out then.
That's your that's why the bloody down there in the Marshalls area everyone doesn't like it, because it's all Brett partying like a bloody damn old banshee all night. However, yes, as you know,
just
I got
myself.
Dancing, but what was it? Dancing myself, David Bowie. Anyway, so yeah, as you know, I've got friends up there. I visit. I've taken you along, Brett, and with some friends up there and had a beer with them, and it's very respectful up on top of the mountain.
Yeah, it's a good thing. And of course, the great thing is, you're up there for the start of the race. And as I said, if you haven't watched the start of the Bathurst 12 Hour from the top of the mountain, you have missed the great sight. I think Richard Craill said, "Is this one of the most spectacular scenes in all world motorsport?" No, Richard, it is not one of them. It is the most spectacular scene in all world motorsport, because it is just it is an unbelievable sight to watch those cars, see that chain of headlights coming up Mountain Straight and then over the top, and then
for the 15-minute warm up, for the 15.
Yeah, and then you get to there, and then slowly but surely you see that gold rim come up across the the eastern sky, and it slowly, the golden hour comes up. It is just absolutely mint, and you want to be up there. Like if you only go to see one race meeting all year in Australia, make sure it's that one, but make sure you watch it from up the top after the sun comes up. I go back down, I go wherever I want to go, and all the rest of it. But if you
put it this way, Brett knows there was 4 or 5 of us back in 24, not this year, last year's. We might have had a glass of grapes while the sun was coming up one particular start of the morning there on us towards the end of the weekend to celebrate it. There was some red grapes in a glass, and it's that good.
Like Fanta.
Also, our mate Matthew Basso is joining us. Matthew, one of the top cars, guest on In Pit Lane. Okay, Matt, how are you?
Matt saw you in the Formula V on the weekend. I think I had a weekend to catch up on some stuff, and I was watching the the Sandown weekend, and you did quite well. Good to see you there. You were sitting about 3rd or 4th, just off the pace there in the last race.
Yes,
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, saw the name pop up in. There's a lot of the Formula Ford. It was quite old home week. It was like lots of in pit lane guests and part of the in pit lane
Cody
family.
was up the top there at the front of it.
Yeah, we've got quite a few regulars
Nick Chembry, you're boring. Sorry, mate. You just come back from Europe. Just absolutely just come back and slaughtered everyone. I mean, you've got to give someone else a go.
Yeah, wins everything in the supercars, but boy oh boy, and like we said last week, that was the way, and that was running around Sandown in supercars. The supercars back on in action, from out of the fire and out of the frying pan into the fire. They're coming off of running at Sandown, and by the time they get their spines back in action again, the next round is going to be out at Calder Park. So. That's coming up in a few weeks' time as well. So they'll be getting a bit.
Might be bouncing over the bumps. They'll be bouncing over the weeds.
Yeah, that's it. So it'll be pretty chaotic out there, but that'll be a good spectacle out at Calder Park. Unfortunately, the Calder Park drags on the weekend that I was supposed to be out commentating on had to be cancelled, not because it was raining on the day, but because it had been raining so much during the week. just the surrounds at Calder Park got absolutely saturated. And if you've ever been out to Calder Park, I know Knackers will very much probably put up his hand and agree with me on this one. That if you wander around Calder Park, particularly around the back of the circuit after it's been particularly wet or when it's particularly wet, Calder Park mud is a very special kind of hell. So you don't want to be. So unfortunately, they did pull the plug on that. So the next round is coming up in, I think it's September 14th, in a couple of not this weekend, the weekend after. September 14th, they will, on the Sunday, they will be in action. They'll be in action out there at Calder
Just
Park.
going to
for the
make a
next
quick
round.
correction for you, Brett. I was just reading the ticker as you were talking along the bottom there. When you're talking, he's in the little MotoGP part of it. It's not morbidly. It's not sad. It's not death. It's stuff like that with the VR 4016. It's morbidelli.
Morbidelli.
So because you've written morbidly. So, no one's died in the VR 4016. Just want to set that record straight. It's just Brett's sense of humour. He's wrote morbidly. All right, it's morbidelli.
Morbidelli. Well, you might have kicked in with the spell check.
Yeah,
I had
correct.
this is the problem on bloody Facebook at the moment. I probably wasted about 10 minutes the other day trying to type someone's name, and Facebook just insisted, no, that is not the way it is spelled. It is this word, and it's, no, that is not the word. It is this, and as soon as I hit the space button, bang, it would go again. It was like, you rotten, yeah.
Writing about Liban on the weekend, every time I type the word crossly in, it'd say, oh, no, you mean cross-eyed.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's very annoying. Very annoying.
I'll check his.
Okay, so anything else from the? Before we move on, let's any other things from the weekend from the Dutch Grand Prix that we want to raise, Pete?
I'm going to miss it when it goes off the calendar because it is a challenge for the drivers. So I am going to miss it when it goes off the calendar.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing was the king of the Netherlands was on the grid with the princesses, and very nice they are too. But he sort of said that we don't want to lose it. The thing is, it has no government support at all, and that's the reason it's going basically because they said, look, we just can't. Like Grand Prix all over the world, we simply cannot make money on this, and unless we have some government support, then we really can't continue. We'd like to, but we can't. And I think the fact that the king is putting up his hand and saying we would really like to keep this race, and he pointed out himself. I mean, the king himself pointed out that he was basically a huge Formula One fan, and just said, I think this is really good for our for our global exposure. It's great for tourism. It's great to encourage young drivers, following in Max's footsteps. This is very exciting, and we would really like to keep it. So whether the king has any sway over the government there, but the government, of course, is, as we know, it's a very sort of green-leaning situation over there, and the government basically said we're not giving money to this nonsense. A lot of rich people running around in fast cars. Forget about that. We're not interested. So it'll be interesting. Hopefully they'll get it because they spend so much money on the damn track, and it's so unique with that. With the banking and all the rest of it,
So much up and down.
Well,
Roller
it used to be better back in the 1900s when the original designer had it at the right length.
I didn't know you were alive back then.
Yeah, well, yeah, I dye my hair a bit more than you. I dye my hair a bit more than you do, Pete. Not, but yeah, someone was touching on the original designer of the track, and he said the original designer had to be 3 to 4 miles long. They had to have this and that about slow corners, fast corners, blah blah blah. And unfortunately, over the years, the way it's been developed has made it worse than what was originally designed. If they had gone back to that, it probably wouldn't be as safe. But at the same time, it's
that was the thing. They also have the problem that there's very little room there. Was watching Kim Illman's thing today, and he was saying basically the whole town is basically an off. You don't get into the town unless you've got It's not just a ticket to get into the track. You don't get into the town unless you've got a pass to get into Formula One, because they just can't they just can't fit people in there. And apparently, getting out of the place, like the wait, there's no cars go in there at all, apart from the drivers and the VIPs and media and all the rest of it. As far as the public's concerned, there is no car access there at all. You have to come in by public transport, and the wait to get home was apparently upwards of 4 to 6 hours. So
unless you're a refugee coming by boat.
So I think you've got other things to worry about.
It's a long trip.
Most of them are more trying to do it between France and England at the moment, anyway. So.
Why anybody would want to leave France for England, I have no idea. But anyway, it's another thing altogether.
I'm going to head off. I've got an extremely early start, but make sure you go do a good coverage of the GT racing over there at the Nürburgring. It was absolutely insane.
It was the last. I only saw a very little bit of it, but the little bit I saw, it was absolutely insane. You're right
Good
there. Okay,
stuff.
Doc, we'll catch you.
Right.
We'll catch you later. Okay, let's move on now. I think we've exhausted Formula One as much as we can. Mentioned earlier that the Toyota Supra is just around the corner. It's going to do some exhibition laps at the Bathurst 1000. Well, it's hit the road. Not exactly the track. It was Toyota's test track, and it wasn't the regular driver. It was launched the other day, and in fact, Toyota released some a bit of footage, which I put together. They didn't release much, but this is what we got from them in terms of the launch of the Toyota Supra. Toyota has taken the wraps off its brand new supercar, the racing version of the legendary Supra, putting it through its paces at the company's private test track. The new challenger is set to join the Repco Supercars Championship next year. Team members and Toyota executives gathered for a first close-up look, signalling the brand's biggest local motorsport push in years. Veteran racer and broadcaster Neil Crompton was given the honour of the first drive. The Supra rolled smoothly onto the circuit, offering a taste of what fans can expect when Toyota takes the fight to Ford and Chevrolet when the championship begins at Sydney Motorsport Park in February 2026. Yes, that's going to do absolute wonders for Toyota. You can just imagine, they do well next year. Everybody's going to sort of be rushing out and trying to get and getting their hands on one of those Supras, which will be available in. Oh no, that's right, they don't make it anymore. Never mind. So you can't get a Supra, but you can still get a Camaro. Oh no, you can't get a Camaro either. You can get a Mustang. So there you are. Go out and buy a Mustang if you like your supercars.
Everyone's got a Mustang now.
Everyone's got a. You're not wrong. You're not wrong there. I mean, this place is. In fact, I was. I pulled up at the pool, the Dandelion Oasis, where I go to the gym. About a week ago, and when I came out, there was a Mustang on one side of me, there was a Mustang on the other, and it's like, yeah, they're a dime a dozen now. So the one thing you don't see very often, of course, is Camaros, and I saw one the other day at just up here at the local supermarket. Unfortunately, I didn't get to. It was a white one. Sounded very nice in terms of the engine. I didn't get his his registration, unfortunately, because if I had, I would have called him out for being a complete dickwad. Doing burnouts in a shopping centre car park is not the brightest idea, especially of an afternoon when kids are coming home from school. It was an absolute lunatic. So anyway, but that's one of the few Camaros I've seen. So what do we think? Do we like the look of it for a start?
Well, it looks like Batman should be hopping out of it, and I think there are about as many of them as there are Batman cars. But yeah, it looks okay. Looks it'll get some attention for sure.
And I think I saw a thing today where they had a picture of a NASCAR Toyota Supra and the supercar one, and they said who does it better, and I think Supercars does. I think it looks better in supercar mode than it does in NASCAR mode.
I think the problem they're going to have is, and this is the problem that NASCAR had, and the reason it's a bit like the Mustang, in the first sort of generation of of the supercars when it came out looking like a noddy car is that they've had to sort of for parity reasons they've had to stretch it out and massage it and do all sorts of things to make it fit that NASCAR chassis, and it does look a bit off. I think it looks okay. It'll be it's certainly something different. It'll be interesting. That's obviously it's only running at sort of limited pace at the moment, but the engine note was nothing to write home about. But we'll see. It's a point of difference, but how they're going to get parity for this thing, particularly aerodynamic parity, when you look at how sort of swoopy that thing is compared with the Mustang and the Camaro, I think they're I can imagine both Ford, in particular Ford, but also even Chev putting up their hand and going, hang on, guys, this ain't fair, especially on fast circuits like Bathurst.
I think they'll install some, remote control dials that they can just dial the power down as necessary during the lap, just to make sure, let's aim for the Supras to be 0.3 of a second slower than everybody else, and that will be the measure.
Until late in the race.
Yeah. No, I think there's nothing but win with this. It point of difference. It does look different, and I think if the car behaves differently from the Mustangs and the Camaros, then that's everything that they could have wanted. I think just to have something
that's the problem. If it does behave differently, they're going to jump in and try and make it that it doesn't behave differently. I mean, that's what we want. We want different vehicle dynamics, so you can say, it didn't do well on the streets of Adelaide, or it didn't do well at the Grand Prix, but just wait till they get to Symmons Plains, or wait till they get up to QR or wherever they're going. That car's going to be a killer at Bathurst, whatever it is. But it's they'll fiddle around with it and make sure if it is any faster, they'll slow it down. If it's not fast enough, they'll speed it up. Because hey, it's showbiz, folks.
Yeah, it's not racing anymore. Hasn't been for a long time.
Well, Robbie Francevic was saying in the 1980s that they're in the business of sports entertainment.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what and that's always been the case, and we need to. I think a few more categories and a few more race series need to understand that. As I said, it's always the thing that I said. It was the thing that I used to say that that I discussed with Tony Cochran in a couple of interviews, and that we both got that the moment. As I've always said, the moment you charge someone to come through the gate, you have something of a responsibility to put on a show, whatever that show is. Now, how you make that show, I was happy for, like in the old days, when the show was, we had 35 cars running around, and some of them were Minis, and some of them were Cortinas, and some of them were Mustangs, and some of them were Camaros, and there was 8 seconds a lap difference or some ridiculous amount, but it was fun and it was interesting. And if a car dominated, that's because they simply did a better job than everybody else. But that doesn't seem to matter anymore now. The thing is that we've got to keep everybody close together, and we've got to make sure that nobody wins too much, because otherwise they'll throw a hissy fit and they'll walk out.
Well, they've certainly got them close in Formula One now.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's in a way that's well written regulations. I mean, because it is a formula, and that's what you're looking for, is being able to write regulations, and then it's up to the individual teams and the individual manufacturers to build a car within those regulations to get the best out of them, and to and if you're running all under the same regulations, if you can get a car that is substantially quicker than everybody else's, as long as you're running under the same regulation, well, that's because you're really good, or whatever it is. That's. And okay, the car's it's a bit it's got a bit more downforce, or it's got a bit more less power, or it's got this or it's got that. That's always been the case, but and it doesn't matter anymore. The cars have got to be basically, they look what they are, and they've got to be identical, and everybody's close together, and you've got the whole field running within a second of each other, and nobody passes, and yeah, they all look the same.
One of the things I picked up on the weekend was what we caught the HQ Nationals, which are at Sydney Motorsport Park on the weekend. 52 1972 taxis running down the Wayne Gardner Straight and around the various corners of Eastern Creek, and it was fantastic stuff to watch. In the end result, Brett Osborne won his 35th HQ Nationals. But
Well, we've got to parody him out of his. That's just not fair. I mean,
well, that's it. Yeah. But it got fascinating for the battle for second place, because Luke Harrison was pushing Osborne for the lead, not threatening but pushing, when the old HQ Achilles heel came up and blew a head gasket, and a head gasket will kill any race car in the world except for a HQ. It robbed Harrison of a bit of pace, and he fell slowly back to the clutches of John Baxter and Seth Matty, who were fighting over third place. And if the race had gone on maybe one lap longer, Baxter might have been able to overtake Harrison. It was really quite close between the three of them. Matty in the end ended up being fourth behind Harrison and Baxter. So so it was a fun weekend, and and off the back of the same meeting, there was co-driver endurance races for RX8s, and which saw drivers as well known as John Bowell jumping into the action, and came home second with Tom Shaw in the final race of the weekend, behind Tyler Collins and Creel. Collins, the Excel graduate. There was an AU4 was on the same program, and as much as we might be a little slightly disparaging towards AU4 at the time, because there's only ever 7 of the new cars and 7 of the old cars racing at a time. It's we've got a bit of a championship developing here. Noah Killian has taken the championship lead by 1 point heading into the final round over Isack McNeil, who had been running at the front of the championship pretty much all year, but
we had the
gradually hunting him down, and it's been fascinating.
It was very similar to what happened down at Phillip Island when we were down there, in terms of Noah, performing well over the course of, and he clawed back over Isack down there, but also Jensen Marold had another, because we spoke to Jensen, and you can see that on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. Where,
the older cars, he's got that class shot to bits.
Yeah, and the interesting thing was, if you listen in the interview, he said, "Well, I'm doing the next round at Sydney, but that's probably going to be it, because I just don't have any, I just don't have the money." I don't have the budget to sort of, do any more races after that. So he was sort of keeping his fingers crossed. And he sort of said, well, I'm hoping if I have a really good weekend, I might actually be able to sort of, actually take the title nonetheless, even though I'm not doing sort of the last rounds. And it looks like that's what's happened. Well, but hopefully he will get.
He's won 12 out of 12.
Yeah, he needs to. He was saying that he's really looking to try and obviously get into one of the newer cars for next year. But as we said before, in terms of that interview, at a $250,000, it's a lot of money to find, and not a lot of publicity out there. I mean, for the round that we were at, I was thinking this the other day. The round we were at down at Phillip Island. I haven't seen any media at that at all. I've seen a couple of things on their Facebook page. I don't recall seeing anything on either Speed Cafe or I think Auto Action might have had something, but certainly I didn't. I certainly didn't notice much. And I did see the Speed Cafe ran results from the weekend at Sydney, and obviously they had some live streaming as well. So there, but yeah, so there was a big meeting up in the city. We had the here at Winton, the Victorian Motor Racing Championships were happening up there. We had the Winton 300, and that was an interesting race as well. That certainly killed plenty of time. We had I think we also had something happening. I think even the states that we had a state round at South Australia as well. So there was racing happening everywhere. It was all over the joint. But yeah, the 300 was quite entertaining. They had another good field again. So well done.
It was 40 cars.
Yeah, that's it, and there was plenty of variety. We talked about variety before. There was plenty of variety there, including the VW. Well, not they're actually not VW. The Fun Cup cars.
Yeah, two of
You
them.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, that's Greg Woodrow, who used to bring in the McGale Formula Fords into Australia, has been bringing these Fun Cup cars in. They're of course huge over in Europe, and they have the big 25-hour Spa race. And as I've said before, we were that close to getting an in pit lane Australian entry into that Spa 24-hour. We were that close. I tell you what, it was looking very good there for a very short time, and it was like, oh my God, we might pull this off.
Well, the TFHI guys from RX8s and Trans Ams and what have you had a run over there this year.
It was
with
very
Todd Hope
affordable.
along.
Yeah, it was very, very affordable, and we were lucky at the time because this is a long, long time ago that they were very keen to sort of promote it, and they sort of said, "Look, we can set up if you can bring X amount of dollars," and it wasn't that much money considering what we were getting for the dollars, and we put out a few feelers. We needed, I think, five. I think we needed 5 drivers. We had 3. We had 3 who said, "Yes, we're there." And it unfortunately we couldn't lock down the last couple, and in time to make it happen. So unfortunately we had to drop that. But it was
I would have
very
been there
close.
today.
Yeah, today. Yeah, oh yeah, that's
I
it.
would.
Yeah. But it's one of those things that like someone like yourself, and and as you say with the guys who did go across. And I think that's the thing that you can do now. I mean, if you're sort of an older driver and you're just doing stuff at the state level, whether you're running XLs or HQs or 944 or whatever, you have a look around the world, and there are various motorsport adventures that you can probably jack into, and not be really paying much more in terms of money. Where you can literally just turn up and say, "Here's €5,000." And drive in a race at the Nürburgring or something like that. So I think that'd be my go if I had that sort of money. And
Look one up for me, Brett, and see what you can find.
Yeah, well, we'll see what we can do. That was another one we got close to as well in terms of we had close to doing something with the Nürburgring 24 hours with an Australian team who were very keen to sort of said, look, if it all happens, we'll get you guys across to document it. But that unfortunately didn't get off the ground either, so never mind. Also on the weekend, NASCAR was back, and we had Shane Van Gisbergen had a weekend and a race to forget. It didn't go well in the first round of the playoffs, but Jack Perkins is
Jack Perkins doing so well.
Nearly got the podium, but then had problems, and Will Brown had another terrible round. So Jack has certainly shown that he's got the ability to be up the top in the road races. And unfortunately, he's had a couple of mechanical issues, and obviously Will has as well. But it will be interesting to see if they do how many other rounds they do, and certainly. You've got a lot of there's an increasing number of Australian drivers who are looking towards NASCAR now, because of the success that Shane's had. But unfortunately, Shane is right down the bottom of the playoffs now, and I think another poor performance in the next round, and that's pretty much him gone. But But anyway, I think he's got. He's
Well, he'll
got
be
one.
looking forward to that Roval coming
The
up.
Roval, yeah. So I think that's it. If he could, that's what his plan was. If he could just hang on to the Roval,
Hmm.
that he had like a good chance of finishing well or even winning that, and that might get him into the for the rest of the year. But it's after the round he had. I don't think he's going to be able to pull that off. So that's most unfortunate. But he was there also. Scott McLaughlin and Will Power were doing well. Will Power had some problems and finished at the back, finished towards the back of the field, and at this stage doesn't. It's not looking good for Will in terms of staying with that team. He's got some meetings with Roger Penske in the next week where he'll talk about his future, but at the moment there's no commitment.
Well,
They're
if
talking about David Malukas taking over from Will. So
Well, I mean,
yeah,
there might be a space in the team anyway if McLaughlin's going to move to NASCAR, Penske's NASCAR to resume his rivalry with Shane Van Gisbergen, according to some rumours.
he certainly. When you look at it, he certainly would be an interesting choice because obviously he's got that oval track experience now, and he picked up the ovals very quickly. It would be interesting that at some stage I would like to see Scott do a year of NASCAR at least just to see how he does go. I think he'd certainly throw the cat amongst the pigeons on the road circuit. So how would the Americans handle sort of two Kiwis coming in 1 and 2? It'd freak them out. Throw in a couple of Aussies if Jack and Will get a run. And Tom Randall has put up his hand. Tom's put up his hand and said, I'd like to give this a go at some stage myself. So,
I can assure you the reaction will be the scratching of 3 road course events from the calendar.
well, they've already got rid of one, and they've got we've got a number of drivers, traditional drivers, saying that I saw one of the podcasts. I forget which driver it was, but he was just saying, and I think to an extent quite rightly saying, this is an oval track. This was always an oval track event. We did a couple of road races a year to move into markets where they didn't have ovals. We wanted to move into the New York market, so we went to Watkins Glen, and we wanted to move into the Californian market, so we went to Laguna Seca. Apart from that, they were the 2 road races a year. And then they've
already left Chicago.
They've already left Chicago, but now they're going to run San Diego instead. And I think that's going to worry them as well, that there's going to be a few after Chicago and after San Diego. There might well be a few other sort of, municipalities who are perhaps looking at some of their IndyCar races and going, oh, gee, we could get a much bigger crowd if we had a NASCAR race on the streets here at St. Petersburg or somewhere like that. That could be interesting. So, although there are problems of having it in places like Florida because they've already got tracks there, and a lot of the tracks have got no compete clauses, and that's what happened with Nashville. It was a successful street race for IndyCar, but the Speedway basically said no. We have an exclusive right in this market.
Well, I suppose if they're looking at Southern California, I suppose they could run a cross-border race over to Mexico.
That'd be fun.
I think that would be a tremendous hit, particularly in the White House. They would love that to bits to have a NASCAR race that ran over into Mexico and then back into New Mexico.
I actually saw
the Medium Mexico 500.
I actually saw a thing where they had that problem in Canada on the Canadian border with a golf course. And it was a golf course, and the golf course itself was on the Canadian side, but the clubhouse and the car park were on the American side. And for decades, since the 1940s, it's not been a problem. They just drive in, it's not a problem. They'd park their car, they'd walk across the border, across the road, they'd play their golf, they'd come back again. Suddenly, with all of this nonsense, at the start of the year, they turned up. They tried to get the Canadians tried to go over and park their car, and were told, no, you can't park your car because you've got to have the right paperwork to get across the border now, and you've got to go down to the official the official border crossing, so you can be checked and all the rest of it. And then the Americans who were members on that side were told, yeah, by all means you can park there, but you're not allowed to cross the road and go over and go into the golf course. So, or if you do go there, you might not get back. And they showed how they had to work around, they had to redesign the golf course and the move thing that was crazy.
That's that's just.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I just want to jump on. We're almost at the couple of things actually. Congrats to Lockie Hughes, who's finished third at the end of the season in Indy NXT, whichever you prefer to say it. In the end, he was in a bit of a battle with Miles Rowe, and Rowe almost ran him down after Rowe won the last race of the year. It was only about 8 points between them at the end. Lockie's had a pretty good, his first half of the season was fantastic, but lost all momentum during Iowa and Laguna Seca, and things went a bit wrong for him there, and lost touch with the guys at the top of the field. But third in Indy next is still a quality result, and I don't know if there's plans for what Hughes does next, but certainly
that's the problem, isn't it? I mean, if you don't win the thing, you get up into the first, 2 or 3. You're obviously got talent, and you're obviously over there, but for the grace of God and all the rest of it, you're damn close, and you probably could take the next step quite easily. But if you didn't get that win, or even if you did get that win, unless you've got some money coming, the good thing about their series over there is like a pathway, and the winners do get basically enough money to at least get a start or to make a major contribution to moving into the top series, which of course you don't have in some other categories. So let's see how he goes. But yeah, they did very well, and we've got a couple of Aussies doing very well in British. I'll call it British.
GP3, yeah.
GP3.
It's fantastic. They're running like 1, 2, 3, but there's like 7 Aussies in that series as it is anyway, and there's a couple more in GP4 as well. But GP3 looks fantastic for the Aussies right at the moment.
Yeah, so they're doing very well. Okay, look,
Also,
I think we might
F1 Academy. I just wanted to brush on briefly because we only got a 1 or 2 rounds left in the all women's Formula 4 base series, and Dorian Parr has been the woman at the front of the field pretty much all year. It was actually pointed out over the course of the weekend that both she and Isack Hadjar go a long way back. They're roughly the same age, and they came up through karts together, and they were both on the podium at Zandvoort on the weekend. Although Formula 4 doesn't really compare all that well to a Formula 1, I suppose. But yeah, Dorian Pan's starting to come under some Dorian's Mercedes backed, if memory serves, and she's starting to come back under pressure now by the Ferrari supported driver. And I've forgotten her surname. Wow. Oh God, it's gone out of my head now.
Yeah, I haven't kept up with it. I actually watched
but
she's a little bit of it, but
yeah. Well, the Ferrari driver won the feature race at Zandvoort and qualified well. Did well in the sprint race as well as we saw. So we had Dutch drivers actually win both the academy races, with Gaterman winning the sprint race for her first race win. But it's actually starting to come to a head. The Ferrari driver is looking to hunt down Dorian Pan, who sort of struggled to stay in 4th roughly over the course of the Zandvoort weekend. So we could have a potentially big finish for the F1 Academy season.
Well, once again, let's hope they actually do something with them. I mean, this is the point. We've had all of these series, and that and they get there, and sometimes, I mean, Jamie Chadwick is doing quite well in sports car racing now in the European Le Mans series, but if the aim is to get them into Formula 1, I don't think we're any closer than we've ever been. So
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and to
think.
see some of the stars of W Series, which was not that long ago,
Yeah,
are now all in the media. Like you'd see Naomi Schiff, who's part of the broadcast team for
yeah.
Sky F1, and Alice Powell, who was doing commentary work for the F1 Academy. So it's they're not really there's
They've got to find what they've got to basically take. They've got to take someone. They've got to try and find someone.
mm,
In the same way that Lewis Hamilton was developed. He had a team that got behind him at a very early age and said, "We're sticking through to the end.
yeah.
We're
Well,
just we're just there."
Durham
We're
Pan, you go, Brett. Sorry.
No, I mean that's the thing. They can't sort of say, oh, we'll give you a year, or we'll give you a couple of years. They've just got to say, okay, basically, we're going to jump on board when you're 14, and basically, if you're not in Formula One by the time you're 24, that'll be the end of it. But we're going to be with you, come hell or high water. We're going to be with you all the way. So you don't have to worry about finding money or anything else at all. All you have to do is worry about being as competitive as you have to be, and we'll cover everything. It's okay.
Yeah.
So, but all of this, having people compete and they win something and they get a bit of money, and they run a couple of races and then the money runs out and they drift around all between different series, and I might go over and try some IndyCar, and that money run out there, so I'll jump into a sports car, or I'll come and do some GT racing, or I might even try to come to Australia and run a supercar or something, whatever. Then no, it's got to be focused. It's got to be you're it, you're our girl, you're the one, and we're going to stick with you until, and we are getting you in to come hell or high water. We think you've got the talent, and if you can prove that, when you're 21 or 22, whatever age it is, you're going to drive for our team in Formula One, come hell or high water.
Well, yeah, you would have thought that if that was going to happen, then it was going to happen for Jamie Chadwick. But unfortunately, she's perhaps Indy Next. She did a season of Indy Next in the US, and I'm not so sure that was the best thing for her. But easy to quarterback it from this distance.
That's it. Now, just quickly, Mark, you got something on the weekend?
Queensland Raceway. We've got the Motorsport Australia Queensland Championships are running up here. So the battery of Queensland State Championship categories, Formula Ford, Sport Sedans, and the full improved production. I don't think production cars are on this program, but looking very much forward to that. So yes, indeedy,
Okay,
and
good luck. So if you're
we're
up
not too far away from the and I think 3 weeks after that we've got Enduro weekend up here for where a bunch of our local categories have some long distance racing including like the XL's mini enduro.
Well, there you go, Richard. Put your hand up for that one. Go up to
go up, shoot up to Queensland. I'd love it.
Any Queenslanders looking for a co-driver? I mean, you won't be bringing money or anything, but you're getting quality. Let me tell you, you're getting quality there.
Yes. And
Grandmaster
Handicap.
least, or at the very least, quality radio communication.
Quality radio communication and media. I mean, if you want to sling me a few, like $1,000, I'll come up and document it for you, and we'll run on the show. Okay, hey, listen. Thanks for everybody for joining us tonight.
Thanks.
My cold was that had disappeared is now coming back. Oh yes, Superbikes, Australian Superbike round coming up this weekend. I don't think I'm going to be able to go. I've got some things on, but I wanted to get down. That's always a fabulous meeting down there. So if you're not doing anything down, hopefully keep your fingers crossed on the weather. That's a great meeting to go to. The Australian Superbikes at Phillip Island is a fantastic meeting.
Yeah.
So head down.
Bikes at Phillip Island.
Yeah, there's nothing, and it's always a great atmosphere. So it's very friendly. It's just a terrific day out. So, and it's not for what you're getting, it's not expensive as well. So if you can't afford to go to the MotoGP, we also had Paul mentioned before the situation with Wayne Gardner. For the second year in a row, Wayne has not been got an invite to the MotoGP, and it's safe to say he's not happy. I think there's more. I think there's more gone on behind the scenes there than we know about, because it seems now that he is very definitely persona non grata with the Australian Grand Prix Corporation and the MotoGP. I'm not sure why or how, but the main straight is named after him, and he can't get a ticket to the place, and he's far from happy. So So anyway, we'll see what happens. See what happens there. See if they come to some agreement. But at the moment, I would have thought after last year they would have said, we won't do that again. We'll make sure that, we'll just to keep things, keep things on a good from a good public relations standpoint. We'll bring one of our most famous world champions over and make him a part of the give him something to do, and make him a part of the event that he had a huge role in bringing to Australia. So
that first Grand Prix in 89, 91.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was
absolutely,
wonderful.
absolutely huge. I'd like to get down to the
89.
Grand Prix. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
so.
89.
Yeah, so it's I'd like to get down to the Grand Prix. It is a bit expensive, and it is certainly but if I could go down on Friday, I might be able to make it happen. But we'll see what happens, and I might even try and get down on the weekend if both me and the car get better. I might try and get down there. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining us once again. Really appreciate it. We'll hopefully be back next week. I'm now going to have a hot rum and rum toddy and lie down.
A hot toddy and an iced Volvo.
Well, the iced Volvo you can stuff the iced Volvo, but the hot toddy I'm more than happy to go with. See you later, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Right.